Welcome to Relationship Talk, the podcast where we have real conversations about love, well-being, dating, and relationships. In today's episode, I had a confidence-boosting conversation with Simone Knego, who is an international speaker, award-winning author, and empowerment coach who helps women overcome self-doubt and lead purpose-driven lives. As the best-selling author of The Extraordinary UnOrdinary You and co-host of the top 5% ranked podcast, Her Unshakeable Confidence, she shares stories and strategies that inspire growth, resilience, and authenticity. Through her signature REAL method, Simone offers a practical framework for building lasting confidence from the inside out. You can find out more about Simone's elevating work in the show notes. During this conversation, Simone shares her signature REAL method in detail as a way of building confidence from the inside out and what that looks like in practice, especially for someone who feels stuck in self-doubt right now. She explains how self-doubt can quietly erode connection in relationships and why confidence, self-respect, and self-doubt shape the way we show up in our relationships day to day. She also dives into her kitchen table leadership philosophy and what leadership looks like in everyday moments, at home, in relationships, and in our conversations. Alongside this, you will not want to miss her What If Whisper hack to shift the inner voice that can either hold us back or move us forward, especially when it feels so convincing in the moment. And so much more. You are about to get the whole RLT, aka Relationship Talk, so you're going to want to watch the entire episode. I hope you will find this conversation as real as I did. And remember to subscribe, hit that like button and that notification bell. I'm Teresha Young, your host and your international wellness and relationship coach. Enjoy, take notes, and get ready to apply all key messages you take away today. Hello, Simone. How are you doing today? Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm really excited to be here.
Fantastic. I'm really excited for you to have a conversation with myself because we've got some synergies in terms of the real conversation we're going to be having today. So I'm really looking forward to it. Before we actually get into the beef of the conversation, I would love for you to share with us what led you to being an international speaker, award-winning author, and an empowerment coach.
Thank you. So I, excuse me, I, I was someone who struggled with self-doubt for the majority of my life. I actually, by education, I'm an accountant, but I didn't love what I was doing. And I had a big moment in my life which really helped me change the way that I saw myself. And that moment led me to speaking and writing and coaching. And it was so important for me because I realized what I was capable of. I realized that I didn't need to worry about what anybody else was doing or what anybody else was thinking, that it was so important for me to be me. And that's what kind of led me on this path, which is completely different from where I started.
Yes. Thank you for sharing that, Simone. I'm interested in what you say there about self-doubt because that's going to resonate with so many people listening to the show, including myself. What were the features of self-doubt that were showing up for you in your life?
Oh, I never thought I was good enough. I didn't think I was doing it. I have six children. I didn't think I was doing a good job as a mom. I always was felt bad about how I looked, that I was never skinny enough, never pretty enough. I didn't dress fancy enough. And then when it came to work, I would second guess everything, right? Am I doing it right? Like, do they really need to hear my voice? And there were so many different parts of it. So it wasn't just the, physical part. It was also looking at what I was doing for work, thinking that I wasn't enough there either.
Yeah, it can certainly transition into so many components of our life, self-doubt. It creeps in and it's almost like it just escalates, it builds and builds on top of each other. So you have experienced relationships across many roles, many seasons, and also perspectives in your life. What have those real life experiences taught you about connection that people don't often realize it until they've actually lived it themselves?
Yeah, I mean, I think that connection and community are so important. I've been married to my husband for almost 33 years, and when you're first married, it's so exciting, and then it, kind of fades a little bit. And, I think we're at a stage in our marriage that we are the happiest we've ever been, right? The most connected we've ever been. And it's giving it time, right? I mean, we want instant gratification, we want instant everything in this world, but every relationship takes time. And, the relationship with my kids too. I mean, that's so important for me that we have a really strong relationship, that they know they can come to me with anything. And I'm not going to judge them. I'm going to say, okay, how can I help? Or what can we do next? And that's been really important for me. But yeah, and friends too, right? Some friend that you realize pretty quickly who you need to be your hype girls, right? Like the people around you that are going to really support you, because that is so important. And the last thing I want to say is the most important relationship you have is with yourself, right? You need to be your own best friend. You're going to be with yourself until the day you die. So treat yourself with the respect and the love that you deserve.
Beautiful. Because when you're speaking there, it does take a lot of trust in your decisions as well, to make sure that your hype girls are your hype girls,
Hmm.
or the people who are in your circle are the ones who are going to help you to be your real self, to help you to be your authentic self. And that takes confidence as well, to be able to be sure about our decisions. So you have created the real method, and you say it's a way of building confidence from the inside out. So, can you walk us through what that looks like in practice? What is real? Because I love this real relationship talk, and you've got the
Yes.
real method.
Yes.
This is how we are connected. So, what does that look like in practice, especially for somebody who might be stuck in self doubt or lacking confidence right now?
So, REAL obviously is an acronym. It stands for respect yourself, embrace your failures, ask yourself what you want, and live without limits. And the reason I started with self respect is because it's the foundation for everything that we do, right? If we don't respect ourselves, how do we expect other people to? A lot of times we talk about, I'm going to demand respect when I walk into that room. And it's about demonstrating it to yourself. It's about showing people how you deserve to be treated, how you need to be treated, right? It's setting boundaries, it's self-care. There's so many pieces in there that are all about how you respect yourself, right? Saying
Yes.
no without feeling guilty. Like that is key to moving forward. We have to be able to set up these, boundaries, and
Yeah.
words that we use are so important.
Yeah. And when you speak about boundaries as well, because it's a word that we hear a lot about,
Mm.
maintaining, setting up healthy boundaries. And for some people, it's completely new to them, and they might just be beginning to build self-respect and healthy boundaries, especially in relationships where they are used to maybe overgiving, people pleasing, all of these features that may show up. So, what does a shift actually look like to start beginning to set healthy boundaries? Because you said like being firm in our no, but what does that actually look like for somebody who's completely new to it?
Yeah. I think one of the biggest things is understanding that no is a complete sentence, right? So often I called myself the yes girl for years. It didn't matter that I had 6 kids. If someone asked me to pick up their kid, even if someone I didn't know well, I was, oh, yeah, sure, I can do it. I can do it, right? I can be the brownie troop leader. I can do this. I can do that. But not giving time for myself. So it's really taking that step back and saying, are these things that you really want to do? Yes, there are certain things we have to do in life, but are these extra things you really want to do? Are you doing them because you think someone else is expecting you to do them? So take a look at that first and then say, no, thank you so much for asking me. My plate is full right now, but I really appreciate it. That's really an honor that you asked me. Choop. End.
The way that you delivered that though, Simone, was so compassionate, because you've done a compassionate delivery there, because you have acknowledged their request, but then you've also said at the end, thank you for, approaching me. And you've given them a nice way, I would say a nice way, quote unquote nice way, for them to then leave, because it's a showing appreciation for the consideration as well.
Hmm.
It lands differently, that compassionate delivery. I think it's so important to be able to do it now.
100%. Like we don't have to, when people think about saying no, they're like, "Oh, it's so scary and I have to be rude." And no,
Yeah.
you don't. You don't. You just have to say it honestly. And I mean, you don't have to say, no, I would never do that. I hate that. But, just giving,
How dare you?
yeah, I know, right? How dare you for asking me? But
Exactly.
I think if you say it in a way that kind of honors their request, even though you're not going to do it, I think it's a compelling way of doing it where people are like, okay, I get it. I
Yeah,
get it.
yeah. And for some people who may be new to this, because again, why people might think it's so daunting to do it is because they rush the experience, they're nervous, they don't know what to say. It's to maybe practice on yourself and
Mm.
start with boundaries with yourself, really. So that if you start saying no to yourself in a compassionate way, then maybe that will spill over into the way you communicate with other people. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think everything that we do, we need to practice, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it takes so many hours to really become a habit. A habit takes so many hours to really work. And so, the way we talk to ourselves, the way we talk about ourselves,
Yeah.
it's so important that we practice that as well. That's why positive affirmations exist, evening gratitudes, so
Yes.
that you can really practice that. It's not about faking it until you make it, it's about saying it until you believe it.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And as you said, it's a practice, so it become a habit. So it might even look like having a daily boundary check-in to say, what can I stop, start, continue doing, perhaps in my life, and setting those boundaries with yourself, and maybe even role playing, having a conversation with someone, in your mind, and see how that feels for you, because a lot of what we do is how we feel about it as well. It's changing the energy behind the boundary. I think it's so important. So that was the R.
Yes, that was the R.
That was the R. What about the E then? You said embracing?
Em- Embrace your failures.
Yeah.
And this is a hard, I mean, they're all hard. These are all things you have to work on, right? I mean, from the time we were little, we were taught that failure's bad. And I disagree. I think that failure is part of success.
Mm,
Failure is learning. It's a stepping stone. It's not a stop sign.
yes.
And when we're failing, it means we're doing, right? If we're not failing, it means we're not trying anything. And
Yes.
it's so important that, and not just, I mean, in any part of our lives, in our relationships, especially, right? I mean, there are mistakes that we're going to make. And it's okay, what do I do next? Instead of, oh my gosh, I can't believe I did that. And I think that's so, so important to be able to do all the things we want to do in our lives.
Mm. That's really interesting what you say about embracing failures, because I know I can speak and look over my failures as well. And there is that certain feeling about it's a bad thing to fail. You should be ashamed of failing. Don't talk about
Hmm.
failing. The shame that can come from it, the blame, the judgment that comes from it. So it feels like there's an opportunity to go back and perhaps reframe some of the past failures that we may be thinking, and actually turning that into something that is a learning experience that might help with then maybe embracing any future failures, if you want to call it that, if you go back and reflect and reframe it.
I think anytime I mean, failure is a really harsh word, but I use it in there because I want it to not feel so harsh, right?
Yes,
I mean,
yes,
so yeah, anytime you make a mistake or something goes wrong, it is about what did I learn from that, right?
mm,
It's that reflection piece, not that, oh my gosh, I'm so ashamed, I did something really wrong. Like everybody's human, right? We all make mistakes. It's what we do with them that differentiates us. So there, I love talking about the founder of Spanx, Sarah Blakely, because when she was a kid, at the dinner table, her dad would ask, what did you fail at today?
mm,
And that's what he wanted. That's what he wanted the conversation to be because he truly believed that if you're not failing, you're not doing, you're not trying. And so they celebrated failures. Same thing with my daughter's first grade class when, you know, the teacher would have them come up and do an exercise on the board or whatever. And instead of saying, no, that's wrong, she'd be like, everybody clap. And then, okay, here's how we're going to do it a little differently, right? So that they weren't scared to come up to the board because as soon as someone tells you you did it wrong, do you think you're
yeah.
going to raise your hand again?
Oh,
No.
oh
So
yes.
celebrate, celebrate the failures because it means you're growing.
Well, absolutely. And pushing ourselves out of our comfort zone sometimes, whatever that might look like. And it's that moment of self-reflection, because when you said there, when we can look at what did we learn from the situation, what do we learn about ourselves from the situation, Many people don't take time to self-reflect, however. They don't put it in. Would you say that self-reflection is a daily activity? How does that look really for somebody who
Oh,
hasn't really done it?
yeah, I think it's a daily activity. I think that
That you look back over your day and celebrate all of the little accomplishments that you have every single day. You
Mm,
also celebrate the trying, right? The doing, because again, days are going to be hard. That's
yeah.
just part of it. We don't give ourselves enough credit for the things that we're actually doing. We focus on that one negative thing that happened in the
Yeah.
day, and
Hmm.
that ruins everything. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
but what were the other things that happened today? Like, you know, there is definitely at least one good thing that happened, right? So,
Yeah.
um, it's crazy how we look at it, though.
It is. I think we have this negativity bias, and we're almost wired to do that from a threat perspective of, way back in the days when we were fighting bears and tigers and
Yes.
all of that. We're looking for the risk, we're looking for the danger. And it does take intentionality to sit down and dedicate time for us. As you said, one of the most important relationships you're going to have is the relationship with yourself. So to give yourself permission and time to sit back and celebrate the trying, celebrate the wins, and rather than focus on, okay, you might look at the things that haven't gone right in the day. However, the learning from that, what's the learning? What's the lesson? How can we grow and evolve? I absolutely love this. Oh, your real method is sounding and looking really good. What about the A then?
Ask yourself what you want. For women, this is the hardest thing, I think, because we tend to do everything for everybody else, right? And we lose ourselves sometimes. So it really is asking yourself what you want in your relationships, in your job, in your family life, whatever it is. It's like taking that step back and saying, am I doing everything that I really want to be doing right now? Obviously, there's some things that you have to do, but and I'm not saying go quit your job tomorrow. What I am saying is that think back to when you were a kid, right? The kid who wanted to be the rock star or the actress or whatever it was, right? That kid still exists. So, find something that fills your cup, even if it's on the side. So if it's taking art lessons, because we talk about, oh, we have no time for ourselves. We have no time for self-care. We
Yeah.
have no time. And I say to people, okay, can I see your phone? They're like, what? I'm like, let me see your screen time. How many hours were you on your phone today? For most people, it's about 8 hours, which is crazy.
Yeah.
So you actually do have time. You just have to look at it differently. So ask yourself what you want because we have one life to live, and we talk about relationships, like the struggles in relationships,
Yeah.
but we have a choice in how to make them better, right? I mean, I know
Yeah.
it works between two people, but we have that choice to say, I don't want to fight all the time. How do I want to move forward in this relationship, right? How do
Mm.
we improve our communication? Because that's what I want. The relationship I want is that I can walk up to the person I'm with and say, "Hey, this is going on. I need your help." Or, you know, I see that you're struggling. How can I help you? However it works.
Yes. Absolutely love that because I say, yes, there is time management, but I think it's more choice management, just as what you
Mm,
said there. It's the choices that we have in time. We've all got the same 24 hours. Of course, we have to factor
yes.
in some sleep in those
A little
hours.
bit.
Just a little bit, whatever we have in our lives right now, just a little bit of sleep, it helps. But then we make the choices within that time. So, as you said, people are spending a great deal of time on their phones. And when you think about what else could you do that actually is going to bring you real fulfillment and real joy. Now, you've spoken about the relationship part there as well. And you said that right now, the connection that you have with your husband is one of the strongest connections that you've had, over the years. So, what elements of, I'm just very curious as to, what are you doing to ask yourself those questions as well? That seems to be
Mm,
benefiting your
yeah.
relationship.
Yeah, definitely. The communication piece is huge, right? I
Yeah.
mean, we've never been people who fight, but we would just hold it in. If like I was upset about something, I'd just be like, "Oh, forget it. It's not worth the conversation." And then, that builds up. And then it's very hard to be happy when you see the person. Like I feel like see it, say it, as soon as you see something that you don't like or see something that you're struggling with, tell them. And so That's definitely how our relationship works now. And, it's that curiosity piece, asking questions and, really being interested in my husband's day instead of just, you know, scrolling on my phone while he's telling me about it, right?
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
I think that that's one of the big things is that we talk about everything, right? Where I was gone for a couple of days for a conference and he was like, I'm so glad you're back. It's like boring without you.
Thanks.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and that's lovely because that is appreciation there. And so many people, from what you're saying there, is that you're holding space for each other and
Mm.
presence, generally presence, curiosity, um, also interest, just really holding that space. And when you can hold that space and people know that you are there for them, it creates safety.
Mm.
Safety on all level, emotional safety, physical safety, whatever safety that means for you, you can just hold that space. And I love that. The power of communication. It seems so simple, but people really underestimate the power of effective communication because sometimes the silent treatment is still communication, but
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
if we're still communicating, but effective communication is really important. And appreciation to outwardly express appreciation for your partner, just like your husband did. Life's a bit boring. Things are a bit boring without you.
Yes.
Absolutely, absolutely
Yeah.
love that, Simone. So let's move on to the L.
Live without limits. So we limit ourselves from the second we wake up until the minute we go to bed. We're not strong enough, we're not good enough, we're not capable enough, or whatever the enoughs are. And, it's really about changing the words that we say to ourselves, right? I mean, when there was a period of time where I was a stay-at-home mom, and the way I would refer to myself is, I'm just a stay-at-home mom, I'm
Mm,
just Rob's wife, I'm just a volunteer, justifying my existence, right? We're not just anyone, we're not just anything.
yeah.
We matter in every single realm that we're in. And it's so important that we say things differently. Your words become your reality, right? So
Yes.
what you were saying about choices, every morning when you wake up, you have a choice. You have a choice to be miserable or happy, right? There's outside factors that affect you, but it's still the way you react to things, right?
Mm,
You see people going through probably the hardest things in their lives, and they still come in with a positive attitude. And that's not toxic positivity.
yeah.
It's understanding that the way I feel, the way I talk to myself, is going to roll my day.
Yeah. Yes, completely. No, the words, I think, we speak, we think, and we feel our reality into existence.
Hmm.
And it's so important about the words we are saying. That self-talk, we hear it all the time, the doubts that come in. And this is why I really love your principle of the what if whisper.
Mm.
Now, can you tell us more about that? Because when you told me about it previously, I thought, wow, what a lovely concept. If you could go into that.
Yeah, absolutely. So we all have that voice inside our head. It pops up at different times. Maybe you're going to an event and you're like, "Oh, I don't belong here." Or you're meeting someone for the first time, going on a date and you're like, "Oh gosh, what if they don't like me, right? And that what if someone judges me? What if I don't belong here? The what if? And I call it the what if whisperer. And sometimes it can get really loud.
Yeah.
So I have a little mindset hack that I like to use when that voice comes into my head. And I use it all the time because, like I said, confident. Well, I don't think I said this yet, but confidence is a skill that you build, and it's not something other people have and you don't. It's something that you work on every single day. Now, does it get easier as you practice more? Absolutely, it gets easier. But it's not just one thing where you do it and then, oh my God, you're confident for the rest of your life. Again, like going to the gym and working out, like as soon as you stop, guess what? Your muscles get smaller, right? So
Yeah.
it's the same thing with your muscles for confidence, right? You've got to keep building them. You got to keep working on it. So the mindset hack has a very creative title. It's called Control Alt Delete.
We
So
know that one.
yeah, so back in the day, that was how you would reset a frozen computer. Now it brings up Task Manager. I would love to have someone manage my tasks. I don't think the computer is doing it for me. But so sometimes our brains freeze too, right? We get stuck in that comparison game. We spiral in self-doubt. Control is about awareness, right? And that's the biggest thing that I want people to take away is that, or one of the biggest things is that we talk to ourselves and we think things all the time and we just let them go, right? It's just on autopilot, right? The things that we say to ourselves that are negative, sometimes we don't even know we're saying them. So control is about awareness. What's the thought that's running your day? Is it real? Is it helpful? Most of the time, the answer is no.
Yeah. Yeah.
Alt is about alternative. Tell yourself a better story. Instead of telling yourself that you can't do something, yes, I can. Watch me, right?
Yeah.
Instead of asking yourself, what if I fail? How about when I succeed?
Oof.
Again, when you say it, that's what you become. The more you say it, and there's tons of research behind it, right? I mean, athletes don't, for example, we just finished the Winter Olympics. I mean, skiers don't get to the top of the run and say, well, this is going to be the worst run ever. No, they get up in there and say, you've got this, you've put in the work, you're ready for this, right? You have to become your own hype girl.
Yeah.
You have to, you have to talk to yourself in such a way that you believe it, right? Because if we can believe those negative thoughts all day long, why can't we believe the positive ones, right? It's really having that mindset shift. And finally, delete. Delete the habits and beliefs that don't serve you. Delete the comparison game. Delete the belief that you're not enough. Delete the idea that you need to feel ready before you do something. I like to say that waiting until you feel ready is like waiting for IKEA instructions to actually make sense. It is not going to happen. And so
Wishful
anytime,
thinking, isn't it?
yeah, yes, exactly. We don't need wishful thinking.
Yeah.
Talk to yourself like you would your best friend, right?
Yeah.
So if you would say to your best friend, oh my gosh, you have to apply for this job. Like you're going to do an amazing job at this. But what we would say to ourselves is like, oh, I'm not ready. Yes, you are. Apply, do the thing.
Yeah. It's the reframe on that. I really love the what if whisper and the hack you said, control alt delete. Now that self-talk, the awareness, then the alternative, and then again deleting. For somebody who is struggling to really believe it, because we've spoken about positive affirmations a bit earlier, how can they start to truly believe what they are affirming?
It's the more you say it. It's the
Yeah.
more you say it. It's you're really reframing, you're rewiring your brain, right? I
Yeah.
mean, and again, if you do the research on it, it really um, it actually has effects even by there was a study out of Queen's University in Canada, and it showed that we had about 6,200 thoughts a day. There's different studies out there. Some say 60,000, but this one says 6,200. And 80% of those thoughts are negative, 95% are repetitive. So day after day, the same negative thoughts on repeat. So they did a study where they they had them, I think, in an MRI, and they had people repeat positive affirmations. And it lit up a part of the brain that, is all about satisfaction and feeling good about yourself. And so, from that research, they really said that the more you do these, the more that's what you become, right? You see it. Again, it's a constant practice. It's not like you get over it. When I first started stuff, oh my gosh, it was awkward, right? You're looking in
Yeah.
the mirror, you're telling yourself what you're capable of, and you're like, this is BS.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but it really does work. And do a little Google search when, for those of you listening to this episode, do a little Google search about the science behind it, because then you'll be pretty surprised how many people have researched it and how much it works. So if you doubt it, do the research and then start doing it.
Absolutely love that because it's the repetition of it all.
Mhm.
And for some people, especially when it comes to my clients, I just encourage them to do it as an audio. It can be
Mm.
something that you listen to, record it in your own voice, put it on your phone. You can have it stacked, you can listen to it whilst you're brushing your teeth or getting ready in the morning, whatever it is, because we don't have time to do things. So what you
Yes.
can do, you can have it stacked and you can listen to it whilst you're going. And as you say, it starts to reprogram the mind. It's just the same way that you would affirm a child and give them that positive reinforcement, isn't it? Well done, you're doing great. And they love it. They love being cheered on. So ourselves and our mind love being cheered on. And it does come through repetition, as you said, and making it a habit too. Particularly with those percentages that you said in terms of how much of our thoughts are repetitive thoughts as well. So we have an opportunity. We have an
Yeah.
opportunity to do something different. So absolutely love the real method. Is there anything else you would like to add to that we haven't already covered?
I just want to, not really add, but just talking about the words that we say to ourselves. So,
Yeah.
any time you limit yourself, right? That's what you believe. So that idea when I say about justifying your existence, drop the just, right? Own who you are, right? And at any realm, like anything that you're doing, own it because that's part of who you are. Instead of minimizing it, instead of making yourself smaller,
Yeah.
be really proud of the things that you're doing.
Mm.
And don't look at anybody else and say, "Oh, I wish that were my life." It's never going to be, right? It's never going to be. So live your own life and enjoy every moment of it because even the really hard times, you look back in the past and say, wow, I got through that. Like I did an amazing job there.
Yeah. I think sometimes culturally as well, the just word is something that can be cultural. Because I know, particularly here in the UK, we are told not to blow our own trumpet,
Mm,
so to speak. You're not meant to celebrate your wins, be humble, and so forth. So that word just can actually feel appropriate because it kind of minimizes the praise that you are giving yourself. But what I love that you're saying is that not to compare yourself to maybe cultural or social norms, whatever that might look, just fully immerse yourself in who you are without those limitations. Because I think we have a habit to say that word just. I'm just a mum. I'm just this. Or I just wanted to say, particularly when you're writing an email, people
yes.
say, just,
Yeah.
just wanted to say.
Yes.
I always delete it and to say, it's not just, I wanted to say, own it. It's about
Right.
ownership, isn't it? It's taking some responsibility as well in a world where we often want to maybe put the responsibility onto other people, maybe blame other people. This takes a lot of ownership. That might be scary business for some people, taking ownership.
Yeah, it might be. But I mean, think about even when someone gives you a compliment or you give someone a compliment, what typically happens is they kind of push it away. So this was me for years.
Yeah.
Oh, Simone, your hair looks amazing. Oh, I think it looks frizzy. Oh, Simone, you look great in that red shirt. Oh, red's not really the color for me. Two words. Thank you. That's it. Thank you. And that is a really powerful thing. When you can start saying thank you for a compliment, we don't need external validation. It's nice when someone gives you a compliment. They don't have to give you a compliment. They're going out of their way to do that. So when you find some kind of way of avoiding the compliment, you're basically telling them that what they have to say doesn't matter. So think about it differently. When someone comes and says something to you, thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
That's it.
Mm, thank you. Thank you can be a complete sentence in itself. We said no
Yes.
can be no can be a complete sentence. Thank you can also be without having to thank you, but because that word but can sometimes creep in, isn't it,
Yes.
and negate the thank you
Yes.
in the first place. And I think some people don't really acknowledge just how powerful just saying thank you to someone and how it makes them feel. The
Yeah.
gratitude is such a beautiful exchange between people, and sometimes you don't recognize how it makes the other person feel too.
Yeah. And also, being on receiving the compliment is one thing, but also giving people compliments, when you really feel it. Like, obviously, I'm not saying go out randomly and say, oh, you look great in this. But,
Yeah,
it can really change someone's entire day, right?
yeah.
When they feel seen. I think
Mm,
it's so important. And then again, they feel seen when you say thank you, right?
yeah,
It's the opposite when you say, "Oh, well, I don't really think so." Okay, well, that means that what they have to say doesn't matter. Okay, so
yeah.
think about that. Anytime you're giving a compliment or getting a compliment, I had a friend, we were at her house and she had this beautiful dress on, and one of my other friends said, "Oh, you look great in that dress." She goes, "Oh, do you think so? I don't know. It's the first time I wore it." I was like, "The answer is thank you." And she's like, "Oh, that's right. That's right. It's thank you. Thank you."
Thank you, exactly. And this is where that lack of confidence or self-doubt might be creeping in. And I'd like to just look at the features of that when it comes to relationships, because we've touched upon it, but we haven't really gone into it. Because you speak about how self-doubt can quietly erode at connections in relationships as well. And various different things like people pleasing, overgiving, and staying silent, how it can actually erode at the relationship. So, how do those things actually shape the way we navigate and sharpen relationships? Like, what does that look like? Self-doubt, self-trust, a lack of it.
Yeah, I mean, I would start with first that when we doubt ourselves all the time, then we're not willing to put ourselves out there for a new experience, right? So if we're talking about even dating, right? You're not you're scared to put yourself out there because you don't feel like you're good enough, and that's so far from the truth. There is someone for everyone. I mean, I truly believe that. There may be multiple people, right? I mean, you see people getting divorced and remarried. Like, so I think that it's so important that we remind ourselves that we are worthy. We are valuable. But a lot of times when we doubt ourselves, so first we won't even put ourselves out there. But then, if we're in a relationship that we're struggling with something, we don't speak up, we don't say what we're struggling with. We keep that internalized, and nothing can get better if you don't talk about it. I'm a big believer in discussing what we're struggling with. And I'm not a psychologist. So, I'm always curious when people get divorced, could there have been something because the communication went away, right? That's a big part of it. The attention went away, the communication went away. And so I think that when we doubt ourselves, we don't talk about things. We're not willing to put things out there because we're like, oh my gosh, what if they judge me about this? That what if whisperer. I think it just shows up in so many different ways in relationships because when you don't feel good about yourself, it's really hard to say, oh, here I am, I'm amazing. No, you're like, nobody's going to want me.
Yes, yes. I'm hearing a theme here, communication. It's
Communication.
the communication with yourself, the self-talk, and also the communication with others, and holding that space to be vulnerable and to just sit with the power of communication, talking. I just, it's one of those massive features that people do underestimate, the power of communication. So I really appreciate that you have emphasized that during this conversation that we're having here, because if we can also just set up intentional time to be with our partner, that might not feel natural, it might not feel normal to sit down with your partner and say, let's talk. How are you doing, really? Now, how are things going for us? What's changed? What can we do more of? What can we do less of? Curiosity. And I think many people aren't curious because they are very mindful of the consequence, or they might hear something they don't want to hear and they don't know how to respond to whatever might be fed back. But it's practice, as you said, just
Yeah.
practice.
I
You know,
think we take a lot of things for granted too, right?
Right?
yeah,
We feel like we're in a relationship. Oh, we're in a relationship. We don't need to work on it anymore. We're already
yeah,
there, right?
yeah,
And I think that's really far from the truth. I think that it's so important that we're constantly working on our relationship. And, you know, we set time in our calendar for everything, right? Why not set time in your calendar for a date night, for communication night, whatever you want
yeah.
to call it, so that you actually have undivided time that you're giving your partner so that you really do know what's going on. And that way they're not going to someone else to have these conversations. They're coming to you because you make space, you make time.
Mm. And what you were saying there about the dating aspects as well, you can make time for yourself too. You can have
Yes.
intentional dates with yourself, or you can sit down and you can have a conversation with yourself as well, to have those feelings of, I am worthy. There is somebody out there for me who will be the most perfect match.
Mhm.
The compatibility and all of that will just be so aligned, fulfilled, and alignment. We can make that time for us as well as we get into the dating scene. So thank you for delving into that. I would love also for you to tell us a bit more about your kitchen table leadership too, because what does that mean? And also, how does it challenge the traditional roles? When you think about the word leadership, it feels very dominant, it feels
Mm,
very, in my word, it feels very masculine as well.
yeah.
So, what does this mean, kitchen table leadership?
Yeah. We've been sold this very narrow view of what leadership is, right? It's the title, it's the boardroom, it's the corner office. Leadership is the behind the scenes. It's, yes, it can be that too, but it's behind the scenes. It's the messy moments. It's the things we don't give ourselves credit for, right? The decisions you're making, those are leadership decisions, right? But we've never been told that, so we don't see it that way. We just think like, oh, I did nothing today, right? I didn't accomplish anything today. I didn't make any decisions today. Okay. Yes, you did, right? And the reason I call it kitchen table is because so many of our major decisions in our life happen around the kitchen table,
Yeah.
right? For us, we have 6 children. We adopted our youngest 3 kids, and those decisions were made around the kitchen table as a family. And really, saying, okay, together we're moving forward with this. And but we don't give ourselves credit for those kinds of things. But I truly believe everybody is a leader, right? You lead something. Leadership is influence, right? You have influence in some aspect of your life. Some aspects more than others, but still, when you believe that you're a leader, you show up differently, right? You don't wait for someone to tell you what to do. You don't wait for that external validation. You know your value and you say, yeah, this is what we're going to do, right? And you contribute all of the things that when you don't feel like you're a leader, you take a step back, right? You don't use your voice. You don't speak up in meetings. And so it's so important that we understand that we are all leaders, right? We were born to be a leader, right? And it's just in different realms that we really lead, but we can show up in every part of our lives as a leader. So that's a mindset shift to think of ourselves differently.
Yeah. So how does one lead in their relationship then?
Mm,
What does that look like?
yeah, I mean, again, I'll bring it back to communication. But, when you're in a relationship, you have a choice every single day on how you want to move forward in that relationship. Do you want to just let it fall by the wayside or do you want to be actively involved in it, right? Make plans for stuff, right? Set time. Do all of the things that you would want someone to do for you. Do it for the other person, right? Help them. Be ready to talk about things and really make sure that it's a priority for you instead of just an expectation that, oh, it's all okay. Because it's not, right? You have to keep moving forward. You have to keep things fresh and different.
Yeah, absolutely love that share because when you were talking that, I was thinking about co-piloting, basically, like
Mm,
co-navigating the relationship. Because yes, both people can be leaders, in that dynamic as well. But is what that leadership looks like for you. And what you're sharing there as well, for people to flip back, what am I not doing? Sometimes, in order to understand what it is to do, you reflect upon what it is that you're not doing. How am
yes.
I not leading in the relationship? Or how am I not leading at work? How am I not leading as a parent or my health? And that's one question I need to ask myself when it comes to my eating habits. Is
Yeah,
how am I not leading
right.
myself when it comes to my eating habits? And so, what is the alternative? When going back to the what if whisper, now what is the alternative there and lead in that aspect? And I suppose some of the benefits of leadership or co-leadership as well when it comes to relationship is that sense of peace,
Mm,
fulfillment,
yeah.
all of these other aspects. What could be the outcome? I'm going to turn it over to you, Simone. Like, what is the outcome of leadership, of self-leadership when it comes to your relationships too?
Yeah, so here's what's really interesting. So I talked about this at the beginning. I hinted at it. I didn't say what it was, but
Yeah.
I talked about that there I had a pivotal moment in 2015, and that pivotal moment was that I climbed Mount Kilimanjaro. I'm not a climber, right? I have 16 steps in my house. I went camping twice. Like that, it just isn't something that I would have aspired to do, but I was asked to do it and I said yes, right? I knew that I needed to really work on the relationship with myself and I knew I needed to get out of my comfort zone. When I told people that I was going to do it, I got some really interesting responses, right? So, and this will go back to relationships. So one of them was, "Do you really think you're going to make it to the top?" "Oh no, I think I'm going to make it halfway. Thank you so much for your support." Right? Again, we can't let
Yeah.
other people when they can't see themselves in a situation,
Yeah.
they tend to push it off on us, right? And that is a
Yes.
big relationship thing.
Yes.
The second piece that, and this is the one that cracked me up, was that don't you think it's selfish to leave your husband and kids at home to go climb a mountain? Okay, number one, self care is never selfish. Hard
Yes.
stop, never selfish. And then the second piece was of that was, oh, you're so lucky. Your husband is going to take care of your kids while you're gone. And I was like, okay, this is hilarious. So that co-piloting thing is so important.
Yeah.
They are both of our kids, right?
Yes.
It's that support that you have for each other. And I was like, what? Where are we living? Where someone thinks that they're my kids that he's going to be taken care of. They're his kids too,
Yeah.
right? And so, and he was like, "Oh, I'm getting all the congratulations for taking care of your kids."
Yeah. Yes.
But but again, everything we do, when we're in a relationship should be that we give back to each other, right? We should support each other in the things that we really need, and understanding that I really needed to get out of my own way at that point. And he's like, go, I've got this, right? And that's always been our relationship, is really saying, when you need something for yourself, you need to do it, right? Instead of being, oh, no, I can't do it because my husband will be angry. Really? No, come on.
Yeah. And that's a conversation. Obviously, you had a conversation with your
Yeah.
husband about your intention to climb Mount Kilimanjaro, and congratulations on that.
Thank you. Thank you.
What an amazing, amazing accomplishment. The level of projection there, though, Simone, that was coming across from other people. If you had listened to that and those self-doubt information was coming through to you, it really could have stopped you from doing something that you was motivated to do. That takes a lot of confidence and belief as well, and trust in yourself to say, actually, no, I'm going to poo-poo what you have just said there, and I'm going to do it. And because we hear it all the time in our
Yeah.
lives, the
Yes.
opinions and viewpoints.
Yes. And their opinions, they're exactly that, right? And
Yeah,
so, again, and what I've realized, because, when I first heard that, I was like, you start thinking about, well, wait, should I really do this? Am I
yeah,
making a mistake? And what I realized over time is that it's that projection from other people. When they can't see themselves in your shoes, then
yeah.
how can you be able to do it, right? If they don't feel like they can do it, how can you be able to do it? So, how can you wind up in a relationship with a really nice man, right? Because they haven't been able to do that. Well, that's not how it works. And so, for me, what I like to say is, when people say, oh, yeah, no, come with me, right? Yes, you can
Mm.
absolutely do these things, right? Come with me, instead of saying that you can't. Now, if you don't want to,
Yeah.
like I've had, because when we talk about how words matter, that I had so many people say to me, "Oh, I could never do that." Well, would you want to? No, I wouldn't want to. I said, "Okay, use that word, because as soon as you tell yourself that you can't do something, that's what you believe, right?" So,
Yes.
taking ownership and saying, "I don't want that." Great, perfect. But
Yeah.
don't say that you can't do something, because you absolutely can. You just need to put in the work behind it.
Yeah, absolutely love that. And I'm going to take that. Come with me.
Yeah.
As long as, if they say yes, as long as it's a person that I do not mind coming along with me, then we've got another problem, if that's the case. But I absolutely love that, because there will be that level of projection, and, people almost making you could steer you in a direction of starting to feel bad about yourself. Am I a bad mother for leaving my
Mm,
children behind? All of these things. But then there's that reflection to say, no, I'm a great mother. And here are the reasons why. I'm not being negligent. I'm not everything that may be going into people's minds at all about it. So I absolutely love that share there. Come with me. Wow, that's
yeah.
that's, that's a mic drop. I'm going to use that
Yeah.
one. Oh, Simone, I've absolutely loved this conversation that you have shared here. I think we have touched upon so many things. Now, self-doubt, communication, if that's going to be, a massive one of the massive takeaways here, is the power of communication.
Mm.
um your what if whisper, the control alt delete, absolutely love that. Boundaries, I think that we have covered so much, in this episode. So I do want to thank you for the conversation. And also, as one of the questions that I do like to ask my guests as part of the show is, what is your personal definition of love in terms of the romantic sense?
Mm. My definition of love is being there for the person, no matter the good or the bad, having that person that you can call and say, I have the best news or I have the worst news, right? And that they're always there for you. And, beyond the, oh, you're so pretty. It's really that support system, knowing that you have someone that you can count on no matter how things go, and they're there waiting for you to hear how it went.
That word support, I know that you mentioned support as well when it comes to the connection with your partner and your endeavors with Mount Kilimanjaro too. So support, and yeah, just knowing that that person is there for you no
Mm.
matter what. Beautiful, beautiful share. Also, as part of my closing tradition as well, my parting tradition, I do love for my guests to leave our audience with one key takeaway. So you shared so much already. At least one key takeaway to help them along their journey of love, well-being, and relationships. I'd love for you to share something.
So I think it's so important that we understand that we don't need to change who we are, we need to change the way we see ourselves. If we start changing who we are to try to fit with someone, we're not being our authentic selves, and it's never going to be the right match. So it's so important that we change the way we see ourselves. We are capable of anything that we want, right? We have to put in the work, but we're capable of anything that we want.
Oh, absolutely amazing. That reminds me of a quote that I know you may be familiar with. It is one by Dr. Wayne Dyer, actually, and it's when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change.
Yes.
So the way that you see yourself, if you can change the way that you see yourself, like you said there, then things will change for you in the outcome. So thank you for that really powerful share. Simone,
Absolutely.
where can people find you? How can they contact you should they want to connect with you further?
The best place is my website, SimoneKnego.com, SimoneKnego. And I'm on social media. If you search Simone Knego, you will find me. Also, I have a book that just came out. It's called Real Confidence, a simple guide to go from unsure to unshakable. And you can find that at realconfidencebook.com or anywhere you buy books, basically.
Amazing. And that word real has showed up.
Yep.
Absolutely.
It's everywhere. Because we have to be real, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like a real relationship is true. And I feel like the word authentic is overused, but it's that idea that being our real selves, being true to ourselves, being true to our relationships. I think it's so important.
It absolutely is. It's a bedrock, isn't it? That realness. So, thank you for a book as well that's going to help people tap into their real confidence too, which has been the theme of this conversation. So once again, Simone, thank you so much for your time and for your energy today. I really appreciate you.
Thank you for having me here today.
Thank you. And for everybody who has listened to this episode, I want to thank you for your time, for your energy, and for your attention. And until the next episode, take great care of yourself and others too.